Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Tonight on Our News, why the F&M leader says new COVID restrictions may be necessary. What the chief magistrate thinks about the decision to ban the bank lane shuffle. Ringing in the new year safely, and the government is willing to table the Grand Lucayan deal. Welcome to Our News, and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, we are in a life or death situation, according to Free National Movement leader Michael Pintard, who says it appears the Davis administration has not been as disciplined in its messaging and setting of examples to get Bahamians to understand the country is in crisis. He says additional restrictions may be necessary. Bethany McDermott reports.
Following a record week of COVID-19 infections, Free National Movement leader Michael Pintard said it may be time to tighten restrictions to curb the rapid spread of the virus. However, he said the F&M won't throw its support behind any restrictions not based on facts.
The Eastern Seaboard is awash with record numbers of new cases, particularly with the Omicron virus, and therefore the Bahamas is going to be adversely affected by this. And so additional restrictions may in fact be necessary, but we can't in a blanket way embrace it if we don't have a sense of what the stats are saying, and the government is not engaging us in a discussion.
On Thursday, Prime Minister Philip Davis did not impose any new restrictions and said that lockdowns and curfews are off the table. This is former Prime Minister Dr. Hugh McMinnis called on the new government to outline its COVID plan.
We have not yet heard what this comprehensive strategic plan is, and that is in terms of the management of the entire country in the midst of this pandemic.
The Bahamas has seen a dramatic rise in COVID-19 cases. On Wednesday, 207 individuals tested positive for COVID. 192 of them were on New Providence. While in opposition, the PLP was very critical of measures imposed by the Minnis administration. However, the Marcos City MP says it looks like the New Day government strayed too far away.
It appears as if they have gone in the opposite direction and have not been as disciplined in the messaging and in the setting of example for residents that we are in crisis. This is a life and death situation, and if your vaccination levels are low, the likelihood of more persons getting ill, or persons are not following the existing protocol, the likelihood of persons getting ill and sick and possibly dying is pretty high.
Pintard stressed the need for the opposition to be included in the process.
We are still waiting for inclusion. Dr. Dabble has reached out just last week after our last press conference indicating that they are minded to include the opposition, and we think that is a good thing.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs warning Bahamians returning from abroad during this surge of COVID cases that they could face long delays in obtaining COVID test results and flight cancellations, which may result in additional expenses for hotel accommodations, food, and transportation. The ministry says it has received information that due to a spike in local demand for testing in overseas jurisdictions, rapid antigen test results normally delivered within an hour are taking up to 3 days, while PCR test results take even longer. Officials urge Bahamians to continue to follow the standard COVID protocols when they travel. In other news, more than 3 months after police announced suspects will no longer be paraded in public, Chief Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson-Pratt is weighing in. Jasmine Brown reports.
The practice of parading suspects before the press and the public has been a hotly debated subject. In early October, Assistant Superintendent of Police Audley Peters announced that suspects appearing before court will no longer be paraded in public view due to a new safety protocol. Minister of National Security Wayne Munro has said that he was pleased with the decision. But what is the Chief Magistrate's views on the change?
I do believe that a man or woman should be brought to court and just allow the processes to flow without the extra attention from the media.
And she didn't stop there, as she insisted there is a stigma attached to suspects who are paraded.
I think any discussion involving an offender, particularly as it relates to the criminal law, we must start by saying that the offender has an inherent constitutional right, which means that he is innocent unless and until he is proven guilty. And it is unfortunate that many of these persons were duly adjudicated and they were found to be not guilty. However, the stigma attached with that parading, with the handcuffs, etc., remains with them.
Chief Magistrate Ferguson Pratt says what was commonly known as the bank lane shuffle also hindered the court process at times.
When I first came into the office, I must confess, oftentimes I would just be waiting for a defendant to come, and I would ask, why haven't they yet arrived? And they're waiting for the press.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Free National Movement leader Michael Pintard speaking out on government's decision to allow hotels to proceed with New Year's Eve celebrations tonight while forcing local organizers to cancel their events. He says there appears to be a different set of guidelines for hotels.
It is a problem when there is this clear division of rules and standards, because in the hotels, in those restaurants and other spaces are Bahamians who have the potential to be infected if we allow a laissez-faire or a complete relaxed environment where persons are not required to obey the strictest health and safety protocols, and they are invited to comply as opposed to compliance being mandatory in those spaces.
Pintard points out that while in opposition, the Progressive Liberal Party criticized the Minnis administration for having one set of rules for foreigners and another for Bahamians. Pintard says it seems the Davis administration is doing the same thing. He suggests a change in the number of individuals allowed to attend gatherings.
20 or 30 persons, depending on the function, might not be the appropriate approach. In fact, what is recommended is that we look at the size of facilities, outdoor and indoor, and look at the percentage that would be recommended by health professionals that would be safe.
Well, with just hours to go before we usher in a new year, celebrations will once again be different under new restrictions. However, a few local spots are looking to still bring in 2022 with a bang. Kyle Joaquin has more.
The tourists at Tiki Bikini Hut weren't waiting for midnight to celebrate earlier today, chugging some of their favorite drinks and getting some of the great cuisine the spot has to offer.
We're gonna keep it exciting. We have entertainment in the morning right through to tonight, and we're gonna do as best as we can under the circumstances. But we're looking forward to a very positive evening, great environment, good entertainment, amazing food.
Though it's not a hotel, this tourist attraction is looking to ring in the new year right with live entertainment and good vibes.
We're looking forward to a good group of people being here, and of course we're going to make sure that safety is our priority.
Many local event organizers and promoters were forced to cancel their events due to new COVID-19 restrictions. But hotels are able to carry on with theirs, like Atlantis, which has an event scheduled for tonight, and the Doja Cat concert scheduled for New Year's evening. At the Balmoral Club, things will be a bit more calm with its New Year's Eve dinner, featuring lots of champagne and great food.
We have family tables, and so if you're not a part of the nuclear family, then you cannot sit with other guests. In addition to that, we will have random testing for vaccinated and unvaccinated.
Balmoral President DWAYNE Mortimer says while the normal upscale New Year's Eve party isn't happening this year, it's still going to be a great time at the dinner, with safety a priority.
This is still going to be a good time, a good dinner. We have a 6-course meal, and 2 or 3 items on the menu were actually influenced by high school students. So it serves to be interesting.
And if you want to bring in the new year at Edge here at Fusion, it's going to be a bit different. For starters, you will have to book a table. Up high at Edge at Fusion Superplex, safety means getting a table. Your usual stand around and party? Not so much with the new restrictions.
What we're doing is you have to purchase the tables. Okay, it's a seated event. We will have the music, and you can enjoy yourself at your area. We are still in a pandemic. Nonetheless, business has to go on. We will be doing sanitization. We will still have our mask protocols when you get up from your seat, as well as we will have the social distancing aspect included as it relates to the entire facility.
A major New Year's Eve event was planned for Fusion, but after the cancellation and missing out on $50K, Bridgewater said the show must go on.
So you can come enjoy the inside of the restaurant as well as come outside and enjoy the outside, as well as the vantage point is beautiful to have and to see the fireworks from both the Bahama as well as the Atlantis. So I would say that it's the place to be here at Fusion.
For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Whether you're ringing in the new year at home or an event, meteorologist Greg Thompson tells us what weather conditions to expect.
Thanks, Christina. Welcome, everybody, for your first look at weather on this final day of 2021, the 31st of December. Warm conditions outside our studios tonight. 75 degrees is our current temperature under clear skies. Some patchy clouds out there. Southeast winds at 4 miles per hour, and you'll feel slight temperature in the upper 70s. Satellite view. That high-pressure ridge remains dominant across the area. Some patchy clouds moving across the capital early this morning, now pushing towards the north, and we are starting to clear up. We will continue to enjoy some very nice conditions for the last day of 2021. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on Our News, COVID-19 hits the police force. And could we soon learn the contents of the terminated Grand Lucayan deal? That's coming up when Our News returns.
Welcome to Our News, and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Amid a surge in COVID-19 cases in the capital, Police Commissioner Paul Roll says the police force has also seen a rise in cases. According to Roll, 23 police officers are infected,
including 3 in Grand Bahama. The Grove Police Station recorded the highest number with 9 incidents, followed by the Criminal Investigation Department with 5. 3 in headquarters and 3 in the Crime Scene Investigation Unit, respectively. All of these units have an extremely high interaction with members of the public.
Roll says an additional 31 officers are in quarantine. All of them are vaccinated. He reveals more than 2,000 police officers and 600 reserves took the jab. In other news, the Davis administration is willing to table the contents of the recently terminated Grand Lucayan deal in Parliament if the public wants it, according to Prime Minister Philip Davis.
The arrangement, yes, that is something we could table. Well, 2 things. We have not, it didn't occur to us whether we should or not, but if you think that's a cry of the public, we could. And I would just ask the Minister of Tourism Investment to lay it on the table.
The Minnis administration purchased the resort from Hong Kong conglomerate Hutchinson Whampoa in August 2018 for $65 million and spent millions more since in other costs. The Davis administration announced last week that the sale agreement had been canceled in a move Tourism Minister Chester Cooper says was in the best interest of Bahamians. During a press briefing at the office of the Prime Minister yesterday, Davis said he has no problem with the public seeing what was in that deal.
Well, I think it does deserve a communication from him as to where we were, where we are, where we intend to go, and that will perhaps include laying those documents on the table at the House.
And the hours are counting down to 2022 as many prepare to celebrate in their own way. But one pediatrician is encouraging adults to be responsible and think about the most vulnerable in their families before venturing outside of the house this New Year's weekend.
The large gatherings, honestly, even the small family gatherings right now are spreading COVID like wildfire. And so we have to be very careful in terms of gathering with people outside of our household.
COVID case numbers are rising and remain high in the Bahamas, as Dr. Sherelle Lockhart says pediatricians are seeing a lot of cases pop up in younger children.
What we're seeing now is an exponential rise in the number of positive children, both publicly and privately. We're getting a lot of parents that are calling to say that they have tested their children privately and they are positive. I think New Year's needs to be, you know, a little bit more sedate this year. Hang out with the people who live in the house with you. Because at the end of the day, we really need to protect those who are vulnerable and who have not had the opportunity to be vaccinated.
In the United States, the Washington Post is reporting about 800 kids are being admitted to the hospital per day as a COVID surge is underway. But adults can make the best decisions to keep their kids safe.
Omicron is new to us, it's new to our population, so we can't be 100% sure how this will affect every child. Those who are eligible have been able to make their own decision and decide yes or no whether they want to be. But we have a population of people, our children, who don't have a choice. We don't have the vaccine available for them as yet. And so we really have to do our part as adults to protect them.
When our news comes back from the break, the countdown is on for local government elections. And later, what's your New Year's resolution? We have the details when our news returns.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
This is our news. Welcome back. Voters on Grand Bahama and the Family Islands will return to the polls on January 27th to cast their ballots in the long-awaited local government elections. In the final stretch, 2 candidates on Grand Bahama are sharing their plans for their communities. Vonique Toot reports.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about! You're warm.
On any given day, you'd find Rashad Adderley playing basketball on this park where he grew up. After dedicating his life to fighting for the rights of residents, the community activist says he's ready to take his service to the next level by running for local government in East Grand Bahama.
I have to be the change that I want to see in my community. That's why I'm giving my services to become the next member for local government in the East constituency in Grand Bahama.
Local government elections will be held on January 27th. Elections were originally scheduled for June 2020, but were suspended under the state of emergency. Local government candidate for Marco City, Prescott Knoll, said he did not agree with that decision.
It prevented growth, and it should have been a new administration to come in to continue new ideas and so forth, and seeing that it was postponed, it just stopped the growth of the local government.
Adderley says while he understood why elections were postponed, he's happy a new date has been set.
Because now we need to have new vision, new voices, new ideas to the table. Enough of this old traditional way. We actually need to do something that's going to make this country better.
Family Island Affairs Minister Clay Sweeting has said his ministry is working closely with the Ministry of Health to ensure proper safety protocols are in place. He said the Davis administration is serious about transforming local government so that Family Islanders feel more included in governance. Knowles said previous local government elections have had low voter turnout, but he's hoping that changes on January 27th.
The people really don't take government, local government, as serious as they should. You know, the government can only do so much. Local government is there to assist the government in taking care of the needs of the people throughout the communities as well as the country, especially here in our Family Islands.
And local government to me is being underutilized. Local government is supposed to be like a mayorship of the island. I feel like any investor or anything that has to do with Grand Bahama should go through local government.
Both men vow that if elected, they would like to tackle violence in their communities and give troubled youngsters a second chance at life.
We almost feel like we're in Afghanistan for the amount of killing and gunshots ringing off. They have a particular set of individuals who are associated with two different labels. I cry out to them to tell them we are all one. You know, I know both sides, and all it takes is communication. We need jobs.
I think my main focus when being elected is to find something for our young men to do to get off the streets, something more productive to find themselves involved in rather than just being idle around the place, just sitting around with nothing to do.
Reporting for our news, I'm Vonnie Toot.
Still ahead, a look at weather conditions over the holiday weekend, and Bahamians share their hopes for the new year. Stay with us.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Welcome back to our news. A sunny start to 2022. Greg is back in the Weather Center.
Thanks again, Christina. Welcome back, everybody, for our second look at weather as we count down the last few hours of 2021. Ridge of high pressure continuing to dominate our weather. That's providing some very nice conditions across the area. That high pressure system jutting out in the Atlantic across the Bahamas and into the Gulf of Mexico will be responsible for keeping all frontal boundaries towards the north and away from us for the next coming days, as we continue to enjoy some very dry conditions, warm bit, but some breezy conditions across the southeast Bahamas. We do expect the frontal boundary getting here sometime on Sunday, Monday time frame. That will usher in a nice change in the weather. So by next week, we expect another high pressure system to be building in, and we will start 2022 with some very nice weather. Boating conditions for the northwest and central Bahamas tonight. Your winds will start off variable, less than 10 knots, but they will become southeast to south at 10 to 15 knots tomorrow. Seas 2 to 4 feet. Low tide will be at 11:36 tonight. For the southeast Bahamas, a caution flag posted for you guys down there. East to southeast winds at 15 to 20 knots. Seas will be running 4 to 6 feet. Here's your final look at your national forecast for 2021. A look now at your extended forecast to Friday. That's your final look at weather for 2021. Make sure make it a safe one and enjoy the beginning of 2022. Back to you, Christina.
Thanks, Greg. Well, following a year that saw a rise in crime and COVID-19 cases, as well as the emergence of a new COVID variant, many Bahamians are happy to say so long to 2021. Hours before the year ends, we hit the streets to find out what they're hoping for in 2022.
My New Year's resolution would be to become a better person, a healthier, a new me, a better person, you know? Yeah.
Start to create generational wealth for my family. I have a new son, and start to implement things in my family where I don't have to work for anyone. Open up my own business.
While some Bahamians made resolutions unrestricted by the thoughts or worries of COVID, there were others holding on to faith and hope entering the new year for the Bahamas to be delivered from the ongoing pandemic.
I think with COVID, with the Lord, as long as we try to do our endeavor best, I think he would soon directly would just move COVID and take it off the scene.
For some, there's a genuine air of optimism heading into the new year with a hope and belief that there will be positive change.
Prosperity, you know, I see the new year moving forward with this new government. I hope everything works out well. I hope they do what they need to do and make everybody get on their job and do what they're supposed to do. You see what I'm saying? No more sitting around and expecting things to fall down out the sky, and you know what I mean? No more free ride, you know what I mean? Everybody got to wait for this. You see what I'm saying?
Well, thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich, wishing you a safe and prosperous new year. Hallmark's A New Year's Resolution starts right now. Stay safe, Bahamas.